Hello everyone, I'm Ginger Rousey with the Jackson-Madison County Regional Health Department and host of the Channel 11 Checkup. It's a show that brings you the latest health information and local happenings. Channel 11 doesn't run commercials. As a community nonprofit TV station, they rely on donations from the public. It's super easy to donate. Go to their website, tnpbs.org, and click on the Donate tab. Your donation stays local and helps WLJT be a community TV station for all of West Tennessee. Channel 11 is all about home.
It's all about home.
The state of Tennessee and Madison County signed a groundbreaking management agreement, turning this historic place into a new kind of public space. Hello, I'm Julie Cook. On this edition of Tennessee is Talking, we're exploring the future of the Salem Historic Park in Jackson. We'll talk about how this agreement will honor the past while creating a park for the future. Let the conversation begin.
We are rolling. Confirm record. Can we get a mic check? Check, check. Stand by camera 2. Take 2. Stand by announcer in 3, 2.
West Tennessee PBS presents Tennessee is Talking. Let the conversation begin.
Thanks for joining us on Tennessee is Talking. Hello, I'm Julie Cook, and today's focus is on a remarkable West Tennessee landmark, the Salem Cemetery Historic Site in Madison County, with graves dating back to the early 1800s and a Civil War skirmish fought on its grounds. The site has long been a place of memory, but now it's entering a new era as Salem Historic Park. Thanks to the new management agreement between Madison County and the state of Tennessee. Joining us now is John Rawl, who is Executive Director of Friends of Salem Cemetery Historic Site. And thank you for being here. That's quite a long title you have
It
there.
is. Hey, Julie, thanks for letting me come on today.
I'm glad to see you, and there are a few people involved in this organization, but some may not be familiar with what Friends of Salem Cemetery is.
Well, as you mentioned, Salem Cemetery has been around a long time, even longer than you and I. 1820s is when the cemetery was first established as a Methodist camp, turned into a cemetery off of Cotton Grove Road in Jackson. That's just behind the Coca-Cola plant for people who may not be totally familiar where it is on Cotton Grove Road. And this site was there in the 1820s, 30s, 40s. Burials were there. The most famous burial there is Adam Huntsman, the peg-leg politician, who, if not for Adam Huntsman, there would be no Texas, because he's the guy that beat Davy Crockett, and Davy Crockett said, I'm going to Texas in a cleaned up way. And now we know the rest of the story on that. But yes, Huntsman is buried there. And in 1862, there was a Civil War battle that happened at Salem Cemetery in Jackson. And we, as the Salem Cemetery Historic Site, are now in existence to preserve that, promote it, and to let people know that we have a site here in West Tennessee that is available to go and look at, and we're going to be doing a lot more in the years to come.
So it was kind of in its early
It's in its
early
infancy
stages.
as a park.
So what kind of space are we talking about? How many
125 acres is what American Battlefield Trust purchased roughly 5 years ago. They purchased that from private owners. The amazing thing is, even though that battle happened in 1862, Cotton Grove Road, for the most part, is still the same path and in many ways the same look that you would have found in 1862. Luckily, there's not a whole lot of shopping centers on Cotton Grove Road is what I'm getting at. And because
that's a residential strip though down through there.
It is, but it's still very rural.
Sparse,
No big developments or anything like that. And so because of that, the land is essentially unchanged since 1862. And American Battlefield Trust was able to buy this 125 acres, which joins the 1 acre Madison County had already been in control of, which is where the graves are. And now the combination of those two, it's a Civil War site that can ultimately become what Parker's Crossroads is in nearby Henderson County. If you've not been by there lately, please stop by. It's a great pit stop on the way to Nashville.
Parker's Crossroads?
Yeah. If you can make it 20 miles down the road, you should stop.
Yeah, of course everybody knows.
But they have a visitor center. They've got cannons. They got great walking trails. And The way that was set up is the exact same way that we're doing here in Jackson at Salem Cemetery. The American Battlefield Trust purchased this land. They partnered with the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee was basically given this land by American Battlefield Trust, and the state of Tennessee owns the land, but they wanted a local partner. And so it took a couple of years. And myself and a lot of great people like Dr. Charles Cox here in Jackson and other volunteers through the years, we went to board meetings with Madison County, and it took a long time right in the middle of COVID to pull this off, but we did it. And we now have the Madison County government in agreement in a contract with the state of Tennessee to manage this site. So Madison County provides security. They have this 125 acres on their insurance, and they kind of keep the upkeep of it as well. And that's the partnership that's in existence now.
So it would be in with our regular park system?
It is considered
for
a Madison County park. And it's, again, as we said, in its infancy, but ultimately through my effort and others to raise money, we're going to have walking trails, and it's going to have it's going to be a while, but we'll hopefully have a visitor center before you know it. And it'll be something that's a real asset to the community, something to help with heritage tourism, Civil War tourism, bringing that into Madison County.
So how much do you have to get involved with? I know even certain historic homes, if you're going to restore or do anything to them, you have to go through a historic society or something like that. And did you have to work with?
Oh, yes. In fact, again, this land is actually owned by the state of Tennessee. So we have to go through their office for any kind of anything. The great news that we can report on is that we have received, Madison County did the grant, but we have received a award of $45,000 from a special grant with the state of Tennessee's Tennessee Wars Commission to do an archaeological survey. So that's the first thing that needs to be done, is have trained archaeologists look over that 125 acres, because you don't want to start working on something if you find a burial ground or something else of importance. So that money is going to be used for an archaeological survey. Once you get the survey done, then you can come up with more plans to what to do with the site, including a visitor center.
So is there a chance that there are more remains on that property?
Oh, there's always a chance. I mean, then these remains could go way back when this was Chickasaw land. We may find a Chickasaw burial ground. You never know until you start doing it.
So it just hasn't really been pursued.
It's 125 acres. Now, during the battle, there were casualties during the 1862 Civil War battle. We don't know what happened to the Confederate dead. They may be buried somewhere on that 125 acres. The reports say that the Union casualties, if they were still there, they were hauled off and ultimately buried at a place, probably more likely in Shiloh is where they would be buried. But we don't know how many bodies from Civil War time period are there, if any.
Why do you think it's important for this type of project to carry on from a historical standpoint or from a tourist standpoint?
Well, it's our story. It's our nation's story. It's our Tennessee story. This was a battle here in 1862 that when you compare it to Gettysburg, of course, it's nowhere near the size. But in 1862, this battle happened because General Ulysses S. Grant, who had forces here, and he was here in Jackson, he was trying to get to Vicksburg, Mississippi. So the 1862 campaign of General Nathan Bedford Forrest on the Confederate side was to come into West Tennessee and basically mess up a bunch of stuff. And that's exactly what happened. He crossed the river in Clifton in the middle of the winter in 1862 and started at Lexington, Tennessee, had a battle there. The next day is when Jackson happened. But this battle here on December 19th, 1862 was really what they call a feint. He tried to trick the northern forces in the city of Jackson to think that he was actually coming to attack the city, and only 500 troops actually went toward Jackson, which is where this battle happened. Most of his 1,500 troops, the rest of his 1,500 troops, actually went around to the north side of Jackson, going toward Humboldt, and they tore up the railroads. They caused all kind of damage. For about a week, they were really messing things up around West Tennessee. And then the Northerners figured out we needed to get these guys, and they trapped them at Parker's Crossroads. Forrest and his cavalry were trapped in 1862 on New Year's Eve. That must have been quite a New Year's Eve party.
It was cold when.
Yes, but Forrest escaped, and he was not captured, nor most of his troops were not captured, and they got back across the Tennessee River at Clifton. The war would continue another 2.5 years. But this was an effort to try to keep Union forces from advancing on Vicksburg, Mississippi. The Gibraltar of the Confederacy is what it was known. And it did work, but only for about 6 months. Ultimately, the Northern forces were able to keep on going and capture Vicksburg.
That's quite a bit of history.
Well, you know,
Good history lesson.
You learn a few things here and there when you get old.
What? So how do you decide who is responsible for what? Like the Friends of Salem Cemetery Historic Site, and then part state, part county. Are those responsibilities pretty well defined? Do you think is what everybody's obligated to do?
Yes, I mean there's a contract between the county and the state on responsibilities here. My group, and I only speak for the Friends of Salem Cemetery group, we're a augmentation. We're here to help out whatever parties need help. It's going to primarily be the county. So when you want to go out and get stuff done, we're kind of the guys who are the volunteer force to come in and do things and to try to raise some of the money, because and we love Madison County government, but they've got a lot of other things to do besides Salem Cemetery. So we want to help them. We're here to help them in this effort, and so far they've been great. The parks director there, Matthew Martin, has been great to work with, and we have worked together on some grant efforts, and we will go before the county commission if need be for items, and that's been great. And then the state is here too. In fact, the state director only has 3 of these projects. She's got Parker's Crossroads, she's got a 1812 site over in Fayetteville, Tennessee, Camp Blunt, which is where General Andrew Jackson's troops, they all gathered there before going down and fighting in the War of 1812 Indian battle there in Alabama. And then here in Jackson, we're the 3rd site that the Tennessee Wars Commission's kind of worked with, and that's Salem Cemetery. So we're excited about it.
Well, I can see that, and it's always great to have more history around. So tell us how far you've come as far as the land being prepared, or is there any kind of signage or monument up there? I know you said there were grave sites.
There's graves. Those graves are all pre-Civil War mostly. They all, most of the burials there happened before the battle even. The work that we want to do in many ways is on standby because we can't proceed until the archaeological survey is done. And then when you have the archaeological survey completed, then you get a committee together and you come up with a plan,
After you find out what you have.
Pardon upon a battle plan of what you want to try to do and how to make that happen. So the real fun part is still to come. Now we are lucky because through the years some people have had Salem Cemetery on Cotton Grove Road as part of their hobby, if you will. There was a great gentleman who I never had a chance to meet, unfortunately died about 5 years ago, and his name was Malcolm Wilcox. And he was very involved in Salem Cemetery and did a lot of work out there. If you go out there today, there's some pavilions that the local Sons of Confederate Veterans put up, and there's some other work they did. And then Dr. Charles Cox, who I mentioned earlier, who's been our board chairman, he's got a monument out there dedicated to one of his great-grandfathers who died here in Jackson during the Civil War, during this battle, but not at this actual battlefield. That's a separate story, but that monument is out there at Salem Cemetery, and there's other really neat things that people can go out there and take a look. And we're going to make it a really fantastic, as I said, heritage tourism site here in West Tennessee. It just takes a little time and money. And one of the reasons I'm here is because we'd love for anyone interested to help us out, either whether that be with their blood and sweat, or if they have money they would like to help us out. Our website is salemcemetery.org. You can certainly donate through that.
Real easy. I would imagine there are a lot of history buffs.
There's a lot of history
in West Tennessee who would like to get involved in that.
We had battles here. This is not something you're working on that happened 5,000 miles away. This was our own story here, and a lot of people are interested in. I've been a Civil War buff my whole life, and it's fun to run across other people who not only like history, but if they get really in the weeds with Civil War history, it's always fun to converse with them. And we have so many great Civil War sites here in this area. And one of the reasons Jackson and Salem Cemetery can be such an asset is because of our location. I know Shiloh it has been the #1 tourist attraction in Tennessee through the years, and I love Shiloh. There's only one problem. You got to really be wanting to go to Shiloh. It's a little bit off the beaten path. And so if we can make Salem Cemetery a great Civil War attraction, then I think people will stay in Jackson. They'll come here, they'll go to Shiloh for the day, but they'll come back to Jackson and they'll go see Parker's Crossroads, they'll see Salem Cemetery, and they'll see Britton Lane, which was another Civil War battle.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Was that part of that same?
Not the same campaign, not the same time period.
And that's the Denmark and out at
great
that other area.
site. They did a great work out there. I believe there's been some great efforts on promoting that. But
is that a similar project, or what they've done out there? Is that
they're not
something
tied
that you'd
in
like
with the
to
state?
see? No, but I'm thinking, is that what you
we
know,
wanted, like, we had a visitor center, we'd have the opportunity to tell that story more than it's being told. I mean, they do a good job there, but if you're not at Britton Lane, you may not be that familiar with it. But we want to have an encompassing story ultimately for this whole area, because people come here looking for this stuff.
So that particular battle was another time?
Yeah, it was only, I think, a couple months before Jackson.
Before Jackson was here.
I'm thinking in the early fall of 1862 is when that happened.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, the house that they moved to the Old Country Store property that was in Trenton, I'm thinking somebody told a story about a battle around there over in Gibson County. Would that have been part of this same?
That was likely when Forrest went.
A hole in the top of the ceiling, and one of the story I heard was that whoever was watching out, it was so big they could warn the other people in the house of what was coming, and that was a good thing.
I mean, if it was in Trenton, my guess is, and this is only a guess, is that it was probably part of the Jackson Salem Cemetery. After they left Jackson, they went north toward Humboldt. They would have gone toward Trenton. They went all the way to Kentucky, and they probably stopped by this house you're talking about and caused havoc there too. The great thing about Civil War history, there's no shortage of stories.
No.
Some of which are true, but some of them are sometimes added to it to make it more interesting.
Come down through the years like that. But no shortage of any kind of stories. And you have to wonder how it, they change as they get passed down through the years.
I mean, I've been a Civil War guy, as I said, my whole life. There's not a day that goes by that I don't stumble on something related to that 4-year time period in American history. Often when I'm not even looking for it, it just kind of happens. It shows up. The most consequential time period in our nation's history.
And it was here in Jackson, Tennessee. You want a history, a site for people to learn and enjoy as well then?
Sure. I mean, ultimately, when we get our walking paths in, there may be people that come out there and have zero interest in history. They just want to come out and walk their pooch. Well, we're going to have that. Again, if you're not sure what we're trying to do, simply get in your car, go to Parker's Crossroads. They have done an unbelievable job 20 miles down the road, and they're helping us to pull off the same thing here in Jackson.
So y'all are working together.
Oh yeah, I mean, they basically have shared their notes, but we're hoping to knock out about 25 years if we can help it.
What are you hoping to get done on Salem Cemetery like in the next couple of years?
Well, we want to get some structures out there. We want to have interpretive signs where you can go out there and see what happened where, and we want to be able to tell the story of the whole Civil War and related to Salem Cemetery, and make it something that the community in West Tennessee will be very proud to call their own.
So I'm trying to picture them moving north. So where did they go when they left here? Or did they just scatter? Or
there was a railroad line, and they would have gone and tore up the railroad. They would have, the term is pillaged. They would have pillaged areas, because the South was really hurting in 1862, only a year in, and they were really struggling. And so these forces came here to cause a lot of grief. The same thing happened in North Mississippi. Earl Van Dorn tore up Holly Springs, Mississippi during the same week. So the northern forces in this part of the world thought the world was coming to an end for a while there, because all their supplies, everything was mostly through railroads at that time. And the train would come from here to Columbus, Kentucky, which is not all that far from here, but they would offload from riverboats in Columbus and then come on rail to Jackson, and from Jackson they could go down to Corinth, or they could go straight down into North Mississippi to Holly Springs, I guess would have been the first depot south of here. And the South was clinging for supplies, but also to their hope of creating a nation. And so they needed this stuff to live on. And we're talking in the middle of the winter here, December 1862, when this battle happened.
So the actual battle continued, the war continued after they left this area.
Oh, sure.
That's what I was getting at.
It lasted
If they
for
went
another
to
2.5 years.
Okay. So did they just disperse or go back to some kind of headquarters?
Well, whenever General Forrest, who was a cavalryman, that means he rode around on horses, all of his cavalry forces almost got captured at Parker's Crossroads. They got surrounded. And he had a famous quote, General, what do we do? He goes, attack in all directions. And that move was enough to give most of his forces a chance to get out of Parker's Crossroads, get back to Clifton, cross the Tennessee, back into Middle Tennessee at that point, which was friendly ground, and into North Alabama. And the forces under Forrest were able to keep fighting until the surrender in 1865. But the Northern forces ultimately prevailed because after the South left this part of Tennessee, the Northern forces that were here did not give up. They didn't run back up into Kentucky. They stayed here, and they just kept on plugging along. And ultimately, in July, it actually happened on the 4th of July, 1863. The same day Gettysburg fell. A more horrible, I guess, death for the South wasn't Gettysburg. They lost Vicksburg. And when they lost Vicksburg, that split the Confederacy into two. And without the shipping of the Mississippi River, the Confederacy couldn't use the river anymore. And that's kind of was a bigger problem than even Gettysburg on July 4th, 1863. There'll be a quiz on this later, by the way.
I was going to say, don't test me. I know we were in Natchez, Mississippi.
Yeah.
At that, the guy's last name was Nutt, N-U-T-T. He was a doctor. And have you ever seen that house? It's got a round dome on it. They started building the house and had all kinds of fine marble and brass and all these things coming, and they never got to finish the house because they would stop in the river and take the supplies.
Yeah.
And that, I just thought that was so interesting. I don't know. Do you think people in general are going back, or is there a lot of interest in history in general? Do you think?
I think people have always been interested in it.
I just wonder. Well, you get a little bit of it in school. I know we had some Tennessee history, but you can only cover so much in such a semester or even a year. It seems like there's always so much.
History is our story. It's who we are. Yeah. I don't know why history, you mentioned in school, I don't know why it's not taught more than it is. It should be. It's a whole lot more instrumental to learn who you are than some of the other subjects. I mean, I'm a little biased here, but it's so fascinating and it's real.
And if you love a good story, there's
history's got the word story in the word, but it is so important to know your history so you can function and understand why we are. We have an amazing story in Jackson. We have an amazing story in Madison County. We have an amazing story in Tennessee, and I'm also partial to the South. I think the South is incredible. Then we got the whole country. It's pretty freaking awesome too. So all of it is important, and it's all educational, and it's fun too. It really is.
So y'all want to make the Salem Cemetery eventually a place to gather, a place to walk your dog. It'll be a nice, beautiful green space. How do we've just got a couple of minutes left, but want to make sure everybody knows John Rawl is Executive Director of the Friends of Salem Cemetery, and there's going to be a lot of work, and I guess, are you working on grants?
Yes.
And things like that?
Not Ulysses S. Grant.
So not that grant. No.
Yeah, the other kind of grant.
But this is a work in progress, and if you do want to get involved, what is the best way to go about that?
Well, we're looking for grants. So if you're aware of grants, if you can help us with grants, we would love that. The easiest way is go to our website, salemcemetery.org. We have a link there where you can go. We're actually a community fund of the Foundation of West Tennessee, so you can give your tax-deductible donation straight to us if you want to donate. Or, again, we're looking for all the help that we can get at this point, whether you want to help us, like with your expertise. If you're just a Civil War person, we are always looking for any kind of help as we're getting this. We really, in some ways, we really are getting this off the ground. But we have a very attainable goal that we're working on, and the more that we can get, the more money, the more people, the easier it'll be to, and quicker it'll be to pull this off.
Do you know when the archaeological, what do you call that? I'm going to say
archaeological survey.
Survey, it is that, okay. Do you know when that would take place?
It'll happen soon. Again, the state's involved with that, so what happens is they have to be in the process of picking, they have to take submissions, and then they have to help pick the winner, if you will, of the firm that's chosen for that.
But you have to do that first. All right, I'm so sorry that we're out of time, but thanks for being with us on this edition of Tennessee is Talking. Thanks again to John Rawl and Friends of the Salem Cemetery Historic Site. If you'd like to rewatch this program or share it with a friend, remember you can stream this episode and all the local Channel 11 programs anytime on the PBS app or at westtnpbs.org. Keep the conversation going by following West Tennessee PBS on social media. Until next time, keep on talking Tennessee.
The conversation isn't over, it's just beginning. Send West Tennessee PBS your thoughts about today's program to TNS is Talking at westtnpbs.org. Your email may be shared on air during a future program. What are your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas? Send an email to tnsistalking at westtnpbs.org. Email us and let the conversation continue.
Hello, this is Tom Britt. West Tennessee PBS is working hard to bring you more local shows and quality PBS programs. And they need your financial help because they don't run commercials, they rely on your support. It's easy to donate. Go to their website, westtnpbs.org, and click on the Donate tab. Your donations to Channel 11 stay local and help WLJT-TV continue their mission to be as local as possible.